Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Use promo code KOBE to get 83% off plus 1 month for free. Click the link in the video description to learn more. Long-haul flights can be a bit of a drag. Sure, they're carrying you to some wonderful far-off destination, but there's no getting around the fact that being in the air for 10 plus hours can be boring, uncomfortable, and disorienting. But imagine for a second that you weren't just a passive passenger, but rather the pilot, whose job it is to stay sharp and carry out their duties in these less than ideal conditions. How on earth could you manage to stay energized and focused, especially when Autopilot is doing so much of the actual flying? Let me explain. A common misconception is that pilots are pretty passive in the cockpit, since Autopilot is responsible for keeping the plane on track. Now, it's true that, aside from takeoff and landing, pilots are hands off the sticks for most of the flight. However, they rarely ever let their guard down. They are constantly monitoring heading, airspeed, altitude, and fuel to ensure all systems are operating nominally. They even periodically do calculations to ensure they are still on track to make their final destination. Further, long-haul flights will typically encounter 3 to 4 distinct weather patterns during their journey. Pilots must play meteorologist in order to chart alternate routes in the event that storms are on the horizon. Any deviations from the original flight plan must be cataloged in detail, even for the most minute changes. Additionally, pilots will make note of and relay any significant weather systems that don't appear on radar, such as clear air turbulence, to other pilots that are flying along the same route. Okay, so if anything, we've established that not only do pilots work in loud, confined spaces for hours on end, but they're also much more engaged than most people may anticipate. So back to the heart of our question. How do they manage to stay focused in the first place? Luckily, pilots on these sorts of flights always have backup. At least 2 additional pilots will be on board with them. During the middle stretch of these flights, this secondary crew will relieve the captain and first officer in order to ensure that they can get some good rest. During their breaks, the pilots often take refuge in a hidden crew rest area that's either tucked above or below the first class cabin. While the space is limited, these rest areas are large enough to contain seats and beds. Here, pilots nap, relax, and eat. A note on eating. Pilots obviously need to eat on these ultra-long-haul flights, but their eating patterns are a little bit unusual. Under most circumstances, they don't eat at the same time to ensure that one is always ready at a moment's notice to assume control from the autopilot. Further, pilots are encouraged not to eat the same meal. That way, in the event that there's something wrong with a certain dish, both pilots won't succumb to food poisoning. While this isn't an FAA mandate, most airlines enforce this rule. But even with the opportunity to take breaks and to sleep, pilots are not immune to the same jet lag that passengers are. Long-haul pilots are constantly moving between time zones, meaning their circadian rhythms are prone to disruption. Ultimately, fatigue will set in. Of course, pilot fatigue can jeopardize safety. Studies on fatigued pilots have shown they suffer from slower reaction times, lapses in attention, inability to anticipate events, higher tolerance for risk, forgetfulness, and reduced decision-making ability. As a matter of fact, it's estimated that between 4 and 7% of all civil aviation accidents can be attributed to pilot fatigue. As such, regulatory bodies dictate that pilots must get plenty of rest on the ground. Pilots flying long-haul routes receive, on average, 12 to 15 rest days per month, excluding supplemental vacation days. This means that upon arriving at a far-off destination, a pilot will wait a full 24 hours before embarking on their return flight home. So, in short, the life of these ultra-long-haul pilots can be exhausting. But I bet if you asked one, they'd probably tell you that it's worth it. Hey guys, so before signing off today, I'm coming to you from the new studio with a confession. Everybody knows that I love aviation, but you probably don't know that I also really love and appreciate good cinema. But I was talking to a friend the other day and I came to this surprising realization. I have never seen any airplane movies. I mean, I haven't seen Flight, Sully, Catch Me If You Can, Up in the Air, Top Gun. I haven't seen any of them. And I was thinking, okay, we're all in quarantine. This is a perfect time to catch up. But there's just one small problem. American Netflix doesn't have any of those movies in their library. However, I'm able to still watch them thanks to Surfshark, the sponsor of today's video. Surfshark is a VPN, or virtual private network. Essentially, it's a privacy protection tool that encrypts all of your data. This sort of protection is super important because when you're not on a secure Wi-Fi network, it is shockingly easy for hackers to gain access to your personal information and passwords. Surfshark guarantees that no matter what network you're on, your data is always protected. Surfshark is also great because it lets you change which country you're accessing the internet from. Let me give you an example. If I go to Netflix here in the US and search for the movie Flight, nothing comes up. But when I go to my Surfshark browser extension and set my location to London, Netflix now thinks I'm in the UK. Since Flight is available on UK Netflix, I'm able to watch it. Surfshark is the only VPN that allows for unlimited access across all of your devices. And by using the promo code KOBE, you can get an 83% discount plus 1 month for free. Check out the link in the description to get started. This is a great way to support the channel and a great way to stay entertained while maintaining your social distance. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.